Hey, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Healing in Hindsight. In this episode, I wanted to kind of piggyback on the last episode where we learned about what metformin is and how it works with your body, some of the side effects, and things you can expect with it. Something that I wanted to include in our learnings about metformin, since it's going to become a deeper rotation in your diabetic journey, is kind of some best and worst times to take it. Timing is key, I have found with it, and it really does make a huge difference how and when you take your metformin, just because it can have a huge effect on what your levels are going to be throughout the day. Now, of course, to be fair and just to be perfectly clear, I am not a doctor. So all of these things that I'm sharing are just my observation and experiences with it, as well as kind of a collection of thought from others. So please, please, please always go by your doctor's instructions first before you try or change anything with your medication routine. It is for your safety. And again, I am not a doctor, although Dr. Turner sounds really cool. I don't have the energy to go through that much school. So with that being said, let's jump into it.
You're listening to Healing in Hindsight, a health and wellness podcast where we strive to conquer type 2 diabetes. Hosted by me, Taylor Daniele. When I was first diagnosed, I didn't have a lot of people around my age who lived similar lifestyles to learn from. I want you to know you're not alone, and we'll have real, honest, and vulnerable conversations about it all. Here, I share my struggles, tips, and more.
All right, episode 5. Down. Got it. Check. Cross it off the list. You've made it. Hey guys, what's up? Welcome to another episode of Healing in Hindsight. And for today, I want to talk about timing with metformin. So again, last episode, we talked about what metformin is, kind of how it can affect your body, some of the side effects, things like that. But I think something that can be overlooked sometimes with medication or any, especially nutrition-based stuff, but is timing. Timing is really important with diabetes because your body is on a constant, what's the word I'm looking for? Oh my God, it just left my head. But basically, your body is in a constant state of breaking things down and resting. Digestion. There you go. That's what I was going for. Your body is constantly digesting things and then resting. Digesting, resting, digesting, resting. So timing really does matter when it comes to not only what you're eating, but the medication that you're taking. So with metformin specifically, when you're trying to monitor your blood sugar levels, it's usually before we eat and after. And so because the medication we're taking is supposed to help maintain those levels, the timing ensures kind of regular levels throughout your day. You typically want to take metformin with food because remember, it can kind of cause an upset stomach or other things. If not, if you do take it on an empty stomach, it can mess with you. I've gotten to a point where I can, but I still try to take it with food as much as possible, especially when you're first starting out. And if you take your medication with no food in your system and you don't eat till like hours later, you might cause yourself to, kind of get the shakes, if you will, where your blood sugar is dropping too low, too fast. And a little tip. If your blood sugar levels are starting out really high, you can still have false shakes, is what I call it, because I always get confused if it's hypo or hyperglycemic. Literally, they're guys, why are they the freaking same? Like hypoglycemic and hyperglycemic, whichever one means that your blood sugar is too low. You can experience that. when you have high blood sugar levels. In fact, when I recognized that my treatment was working, I was having that. I just like to call it the shakes because it's easier, but I was having the shakes, taking my medication, and my levels were actually dropping to normal because your body has been operating in such a heightened state that normal feels low. And technically it is. So if you ever have that happen, that's where your meter comes in handy. I usually will check it to see where I'm at. And if I'm actually just about to tap into normal range, then I don't, I tried to kind of ride the wave, give myself some water, maybe give myself a little sip of juice or something like that, just to even me out just a tiny bit, because it's still dropping. But I do try to make sure to keep myself cool, because at least for me, I start to sweat and get hot and feel a little faint. So I sit down, try to cool my body off. So my body can understand this is actually your normal blood sugar levels. This is where you actually need to be. But anywho, so that's why empty stomach might not be so great, because you might actually throw yourself into super low blood sugar, and that's not good either. So if timing is so important, I'm sure the obvious next question is, so when should you take it? Well, obviously, whenever your doctor says to, for sure, because they are the ones who have set up your treatment plan. But for me, it started out, after breakfast, after dinner. And that used to really that was a good starting point to maintain my levels, because the morning dose that I would take of metformin and then later on metformin and glipizide would kind of help the food that I ate that morning. It got my body going. Okay, we're digesting, we're breaking all this down. Okay, here's a bunch of sugar, which is essentially energy. Okay, my cells and my muscles are kind of resistant to insulin. Oh, but here's this metformin and this glipizide that's saying, hey, they're on the list. It's cool. Let them in. So my body absorbs that and then maintains my energy levels for the next few hours. And then the cycle kind of repeats itself. At the same time, my body is also trying to burn the sugar or use it and break down as much as possible. So it's kind of that rinse and repeat cycle. And remember, throughout the day, sometimes you're not really stopping in between meals. I think there are moments where we've gotten so used to having access to food so much, like snacking, you're not really giving your system a chance to digest and rest. So that's kind of why I used to be of the, 4 or 5 small meals per day. But I do a lot more fasting now. So I don't really do a lot of heavy snacking in between meals. Don't get me wrong. If I feel hungry and I know that it's true hunger, because I do try to drink some water or something like that, to make sure it's not a falsie, if you will. But I do that because I want to give my body and my organs time to rest between ingesting. Your body burns calories just from digesting food. That's crazy. So imagine if you're constantly eating and your body doesn't have a break to actually break down anything that you have. I think that's why we have, some of those physical reactions like indigestion, things like that, because your body's like, stop, I'm full, stop it, So morning, evening seems to be a good and common theme. I have personally not dealt with taking metformin morning, midday, and evening. I think that would be a little bit too much. But it all depends. There might be somebody out there where your doctors prescribe that. But usually it's best because you have time to break down the food that you're consuming. So worst times to take it. Well, I guess just to say, I would do, my regimen was morning, evenings. I am now just evenings, which kind of leads to worse times or ways to take it. I do feel like midday is not the best. Again, your body doesn't need to, you don't need to overdose on medication to get your body to do its thing. Again, these are like training wheels, so you just need to coax it, and so it's not to say that I haven't taken my medication in the middle of the day. sometimes if you wake up late, right? Or if you're like me and you work early and you're so glued to your computer sometimes that you look up and you're like, holy shit, it's 12. When did noon hit? Why haven't I had another cup of coffee? Where's food now? I'm starving, right? So I will say this is the part where you definitely want to clue in with your doctor to see if you miss a dose, should you take it as soon as you recall, or if it's like super late, just wait until your evening one. For me, I usually would skip. I used to be really worried about taking my medication so close to each other. Again, possibly dropping my blood sugar way too low. I don't know. So it's kind of a hit or miss there. But like if I had breakfast at 8 and I look up and it's 9:30, I'll go ahead and take it. Right. It's still kind of in that window. But middle of the day, when you're right in the throes of eating and digesting and your body's already in kind of one digestive mode from your breakfast, it's a little hard. Now, for those who fast, I do still take, or there was a point where I would still take my medication in the morning. But again, that's because I've gotten used to it being on my stomach, not being that bad. But now that I just take it in the evenings, I don't have to worry about fasting. So if that's something that you do heavily, just really, really, really connect with your doctor on this. It works for me because I take it around between 7 and 8, 10 at the latest. Sometimes I venture into 11:30, but again, it's one of those, oh crap, I forgot kind of things. But I'm sleeping. I'm usually laying down, going to bed after that point, and my body has time to use the medication to kind of help even things out going into the next morning. It's the next day. So it's a little bit easier when you're on extended release and you're only doing it once a day to kind of move around when you take it. But middle of the day and like super late night, like after midnight, I'm not really doing it. I have, like, if I'm going out, sometimes I will take it, but I'll usually take it as early as I can stand. So like if I know I'm going to happy hour or something like that, I will start out drinking water or something like that. I'll either skip it. Let me just make it more simple. I'll either skip it because I don't want the aftermath later, or I will take it early and give myself a couple of hours before I start drinking. And if I'm drinking, I'm very clean with it. And I try to drink water in between. So that way I'm not, getting too much in my system alcohol wise. Again, not the best to kind of drink on it because it can mess with your stomach a bit and kind of undo some things. But at the same time, I don't always suggest not taking your medication. I just try to space it out as much as possible, and I'm mindful of what I consume afterwards. So there's nothing really major with this episode. I didn't want to make it too long and heavy for you guys, but always follow your doctor's recommendations. But I have found that morning and evenings are really just the better times because you have these long stretches of hours where your body is either digesting or resting. And even when you're resting, you're kind of digesting. I rhymed. If only I could rap, y'all. I really wish I could rap. This is that moment where I could do it, but it's not happening. Anyways, so again, do what works for you based off your doctor's recommendations. But if you feel okay to kind of play around, I did at one point take my Comboglyze and split it and did one in the morning and one in the evening. I didn't really see as much of a major difference. I did feel kind of better taking everything at night or in the evenings, but it definitely matters. I will say on evenings where I may have gotten caught up in something and I didn't take it till 10, 11 o'clock, I've noticed that my numbers have been slightly higher because my sleep window also was shorter. And then, I definitely experience higher numbers when I take my medication on time, but I still eat past then. I usually try my best that when I take my meds, I'm done. And I just have to get better about, no sugar, no carb snacks, like getting more water-based snacks or something like that, or zero carb, zero sugar, not zero calorie, because that's what's going to continue to spike me. So I would love any recommendations because the struggle is real. I don't even know how to describe this. I am a morning person by habit, but I am a night owl, like naturally. I do like being up late. I can't tell you how many times I've definitely been up super late doing something that I really want to do, whether that's gaming, working on a show, whatever. And I look up and the sun is coming out. I just don't like working like that. Like, unless it's something I really want to do, like this, for instance, cool. But if I was like doing a job that was like fun, like call center stuff, I've been there, done that. Don't like it. You don't like it. I like to get it out the way early so I can have the evening for my recreational time. So it's weird. I'm weird. I'm proud of that, but I'm weird. So I'm curious to know what everyone's regimen is and what they experience with when they take their medication. For my insulin folks, I know it's very, very, very strict and timed. Like, you really got to be on point with that. I know that there's some moments where it's loose, but I've kind of witnessed firsthand where it needs to kind of be on a same time as possible. Definitely taking any medication, honestly, at the same time every day is super helpful. But give yourself some grace a bit if it's not exact. Like, I got an alarm that goes off at 8 o'clock for me, but sometimes I'm like, okay, snooze it for 9 minutes. I don't know why Apple chose 9 minutes, but snooze it for 9 minutes because I'm in a thought process, or I'm recording, or I'm working on something and I'm trying to get it done. And it's hard for me to stop and like pivot and crap, where's my water bottle? Where is this? So anyways, all that to say, hope you found this helpful. Short and sweet on this one. Didn't want to take up too much of your time. I can ramble, but I'm not going to do it. So I will catch you guys on the next round. I'll even save you the outro. Just do me a favor for your girl. Like, subscribe, rate the podcast, leave a review. It helps others find us. The higher ratings you give it, the better I'm seen, and I would love to be seen, or at least rather heard, by as many of our community as we can, so we can all help each other in finding better ways to not only manage this disease, but beat it, reverse it, and never have to deal with it again. So at Healing in Hindsight on Instagram, facebook.com/Healing in Hindsight. You can also catch me at healinginhindsight.com. YouTube channel, you guessed it, Healing in Hindsight. I'm really considering playing around with some video stuff, but that'll probably be season 2. But if you don't have Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, wherever all the podcasts are, I definitely wanted to make sure that it's on YouTube, so it's there too. So feel free to subscribe, like, and leave comments on the video on YouTube as well, so that way people can find us. The world needs to know we're here and that we are doing this shit. Anyways, catch you guys next time. Thank you so much for listening, and until next time.